So I made this video to explain everything you need to know, tips, tricks, how to use, and safety of an X-Acto knife. These can also be called craft blades, but I just refer to them as X-Acto knives because that's the brand we use at school. The first thing your X-Acto knife should come with or have a safety cap on it. You should not leave it, store it, sit it on the table without a cap on it. So this is not how I would want to see X-Acto knives sitting on like your workspace. They can roll off the table. If that happens, if your cap is on it, you're good. If not, think about your toes, people. Okay, so anytime you're walking or if it's just sitting, being unused, your safety cap should be on it. Now, these are very, very sharp. Like, you could perform surgery with a new X-Acto knife blade. I don't recommend it, but you could. That's how sharp they are. So, you need to be very, very careful. Okay, so this part right here is the blade. This is like the spine of the blade. So this part back here is not sharp. The beveled edge is the sharp part. I know that sounds silly, but a lot of times people try to cut with this edge or just with the tip of it, and they pull it this way and it's not sharp. As you can see, like this side, not sharp. This is the side you want down when you're cutting. When you are cutting, you are going to use it and hold it just like a normal pencil. However you hold a pencil is how I would recommend using your X-Acto knife. So when you're cutting, you want to pull straight. I know that's probably opposite of anything anyone has ever told you. People always say, cut away from yourself. I believe that cutting with an X-Acto knife is easiest if you're guiding the knife towards your body. Now, this hand when you're cutting, your helper hand. So I am left-handed, so my right hand is my helper hand. It needs to be out of the way. I should never ever cut with my helper hand here and my knife pulling towards my hand. It would just take one quick slip for me to cut my hand, which is not what we want. So helper hand can be on your paper, holding your paper down. It just needs to be out of the way that you're pulling the blade. So my helper hand's gonna go up here, and then I would pull straight down to this blade. When I'm using my X-Acto knife, I'm going to use it and hold it like a pencil, and I'm just going to pull towards me. I can also, which I think makes it a lot easier, I can turn my paper. So it's easier to turn your paper than your body, and now this is pointed directly at me. So then I would do the same thing for this line. I would just turn my paper. That way I can stay in the same spot and I'm not shifting around. I'm not cutting like this. I'm not sawing back and forth. I'm just taking my blade, pivoting my paper, and I'm just pulling straight towards me. When I get to the edge of the line, I stop, and then I continue down the line. Okay, so if I did it correctly, this should just come right apart. Perfect. That's how I know I used my X-Acto knife correct. If I have a nice, straight, clean cut, that means I use my blade properly. If I'm using my X-Acto knife and I get something that's jagged like this, that means I'm cutting with the wrong side of my blade. This point is sharp, but you have to use it with this side down and not this side down. So when I'm pulling this direction, this side is down instead of turning my blade and slicing one nice straight line. So if your paper is tearing, your blade is either incredibly dull and you need a new blade, or you're pulling it the wrong way. Now, if the case is you need a new blade, you can buy blades so that you can reuse the handle. All you have to do is you have to twist it like a screw, and it comes loose. This whole top part comes loose. And then the blade comes out like this, and then you can just stick a new blade down in here. Now, depending on like which way you turn your X-Acto blade and how you're cutting and a lot of things, this part can come out really easily. If it comes loose, all you have to do, like if it wiggles back and forth, you're just going to screw it down so it's nice and tight. But it shouldn't be something that's like coming out of your blade often, and if it is, you just screw it straight down. It's meant to do that. It's not broken. You just have to readjust the blade. If I have used a straight edge to make a line, regardless what I'm doing. So if I'm drawing something and I use a straight edge and now I need to cut that thing out, I'm going to also, just like I would take my pencil pen and make a line with a ruler or straight edge, I would do the same thing with my X-Acto knife. So I would just hold my ruler in place, make sure my fingers are not in the way anywhere. My fingers are nice and out of the way. And I'm going to pull straight down and keep my X-Acto knife as close to the blade as possible. And it should be a nice, even, perfect, straight cut. That straight line will only be straight if you trace it with a straight edge and you cut it with a straight edge. Now, you can also cut curvy lines. It's a little more difficult, especially the more rounded the curve. And I'm just going to keep rotating my paper until it's straight and I can pull straight down towards my body. You can also feel free to pick up your blade and adjust your paper and then keep going. It doesn't have to be one seamless cut. Now, if I'm cutting cardboard, if I'm cutting something like mat board or foam board with an X-Acto knife, you are going to have to push down harder than you would with just paper. For paper, you should be able to push down about as hard as you would with like a pencil, maybe a little harder, and it should be a nice slice. For cardboard, mat board, anything thicker, you're going to want to actually like apply a lot of pressure down on your X-Acto knife to make sure it's slicing through all those layers. So that's cutting. A couple safety things. So I'm never going to walk without my safety cap on, without my lid on. I'm not going to leave it sitting on my table without my safety cap on. I am also going to put one of these self-healing mats underneath my work. So mine's a little dirty, but you should always have a self-healing mat. If you don't have a self-healing mat, you can buy them at Hobby Lobby, Joann's. You can also just use like a piece of cardboard or a layer of newspaper or maybe just a few extra pieces of paper, an old notebook, something to just absorb the blade. It helps keep your X-Acto knife sharp. 1, and 2, it protects your surface underneath. We do not want a bunch of scratches in whatever table surface you're working in. Another thing is, if you have your X-Acto knife sitting like near the edge of the table, if it rolls off the table, do not try to catch it. Just let it hit the floor. Don't try to be a savior and catch the blade and slice your hand open because you just caught a razor blade falling from a table. Just let it hit the floor. For me, in my classroom, I start X-Acto knives around 7th or 8th grade. I think that with a proper safety demo, an explanation of an X-Acto knife, that students can be very responsible and actually surprise you how well they can do with an X-Acto knife. So that's all the basics I can think of for X-Acto knives. Remember, you need to be very, very careful. These are blades. They are sharp. You can get hurt. So please be careful, please be safe when you use them. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you liked this video and you found it useful or helpful to you at all, please like, subscribe, comment, all of the things for my channel. It helps me out, which in turn can help you guys out. I hope you have fun trying out your new tool.